I'm the Chris who plays games. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Well, I say stream, but it's a little bit different than a normal stream. Rather than me talking back and forth to you all night, it's just going to be me sitting in a room talking to myself, but in a bunch of different ways. We got a bunch of different stuff. We've got speedrunning. We've got games from the arcade that I've never played before. We've got breakdowns of music using Family Tracker. We've got a three-way speedrun race, and we've got some footage from up to 2 years ago that you've never seen before here on the channel. Now, what this means for you tonight is actually that all of this content is pre-recorded. You can't talk to me. Well, you can talk to me, but I won't hear you, and I can't talk back to you. But here's the thing. Maybe you'll enjoy it anyway. Maybe you'll learn something new. Maybe you'll find it interesting that I can do different things during a non-stream. I don't know. You don't know. We're going to find all this out throughout the evening tonight. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and be prepared to hang out and have a good time. Tonight and tonight only, there's a very special game going on. There's going to be a trivia quiz throughout the evening. So if you watch through this video, you will see a bunch of different questions or facts that you might be able to mix in and get yourself a fabulous prize. So there are 3 questions in the trivia that you need to answer. Question 1, what year was CPG's first car? I'll give you a hint. It was a Cadillac Seville, so keep an ear out for that, and you might learn what year CPG's first car was. 2, what is my new top score on the Work Galaga machine? Keep an eye out for that. And 3, what was my top score on Donkey Kong Jr. tonight? So with those 3 questions answered, you'll be able to answer them. There's a link in the description below. It says trivia form. Click that. It will take you there. If you submit all 3 answers correctly, you can win a prize. And so then I'll have to figure out what the prize is. So somebody do that, and then I'll figure out what the prize is, and then you'll be fabulously excited. Plus, I will shout you out. I don't know. What do you care about? I don't know. Whatever. You'll win. You'll be one of the people that wins. And I'll be like, hey, this is one of the people that won in tonight's trivia contest. So definitely you want to be thinking about that and pulling that into your plans for the evening. Remember, what year was CPG's first car? What is his new top score on the Work Galaga machine? And what is his top score in Donkey Kong Jr. tonight? Those are the 3 questions you need to have answers to. Submit your answers. The link is in the description below. Tonight we're going to go right into it and move right into one of our first games of the evening. We're going to be playing Donkey Kong. Alright, so this game is Donkey Kong. You might have heard or seen this one before. It was one of the most popular arcade games in the 1980s. Of course, this particular version is for the NES and not the arcade version. If it was the arcade version, rather than this character being Mario, of course it would be Jumpman. And rather than the princess being the Princess Peach, it would be the Princess Pauline. But in this particular version, of course, we are Mario working to rescue Peach and dying. Because that's what we do as Jumpman, aka Mario, is get our head smashed by barrels. Now, exactly why there is a giant monkey attempting to throw barrels around a construction site in order to destroy a character, whether he is Mario or Jumpman, not entirely clear to me. Like Bowser, okay, Bowser wanted to kidnap Princess Peach, like, I get that. I'm aware of that general dynamic. It is less clear to me where this giant monkey came from. Like, I guess Donkey Kong, King Kong existed long before Donkey Kong, so I assume it was just based off of that. But, like, I don't know, did they have to sign away the rights in order to get access to the King Kong character in order to create Donkey Kong? Was this like a public domain thing here, or what was that? Gosh darn, fireballs. Also, exactly where did these sentient fireballs come from? Like, if you just had sentient fireballs wandering around, is this what you would, is this how things work? In this particular place, like, they just have sentient fireballs? Because I feel like if I had some machine that could produce sentient fireballs, that would be a thing that I would attempt to profit from or benefit from in some way other than attacking some Mario character. Like, sentient fireballs, oh man, like, I don't know, they'd be useful in, like, firefighting and forest fires, because then you could have the sentient fireball. Like, one of the big things that they do in order to control the spread of fires is that they use, like, fire breaks, right? So rather than have your fire break be put together by, like, a fireman who's, what? I just walked through that umbrella? Fine, whatever. I don't need you anyway, umbrella. You're just points. I don't need points. I'm just gonna go ahead and, like, make all the floor foul out from underneath you. It's gonna be great. So it's gonna be... Oh, no. Okay, we're good. We're good. Fireball's over there. I'm gonna come over here. Now, I will say, like, the fact that, like, taking away that last thing, the entire platform fall, like, you would think that at some point in there, they would at least start to be a little bit unsteady or bouncy or something like that. That would actually make a topic for a really interesting, like, game. if you were to do like a remake of Donkey Kong where or at least that particular level where like as you cleared things out it would like become more slanty or something, or these things if they were like conveyors or other things like that. I mean, I know there's a bunch of the, like the Donkey Kong Country games that are more like platformers or whatever, but you don't have a lot of games that just build on the ideas behind this simple like run and jump platformer. And I guess maybe it's because there's not a lot to it. I don't think there's a win condition. Like, there's not a thing you get to where it's like, oh, I beat Donkey Kong. I don't think. I do think that Donkey Kong was one of the games that... So Billy Mitchell is, like, this guy who used to claim all these high scores and recently had his, like, his top score on Dragster or whatever, like, eradicated, and then Twin Galaxies got rid of all of his high scores. He used to be the guy, the guy who had the best Pac-Man score or something like that. They did an interview with him for Great Big Story at some point. He seemed like a total dickhead. So recently they basically determined that it was absolutely impossible to get the score that he claimed for Dragster, that he basically just like was a fraud who had made it up and been, it had always been this thing that people were convinced you couldn't do, and he had this long story about how he did X, Y, and Z and it worked for him and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so basically people figured out he's the fraud, but I think that he also had like a top score in Donkey Kong. Alright, so it turns out that I said something wrong earlier, and I just wanted to correct the record. I'd conflated two different video game cheaters in the high scoring category. One of them, Todd Rogers, had claimed a high score in Dragster of 5.51 seconds. This is the one that was gotten rid of first from a lot of sites, including the Guinness Book of World Records. The proof that he had supposedly offered was sending in a Polaroid to Activision at the time in a contest in 1982. That Polaroid does not exist anymore, has not for ages and ages, as is not really surprising because these magazine or game developer competitions, it's not like they were, the end-all be-all of great record keeping. They were sort of throwaway things, and the fact that some of them have lasted for 36 years as records is almost ridiculous. But that was the one that I was thinking of there, is that Dragster is this game where you have to shift through different gears on a car to get across the screen, and he claimed that he had gotten a 5.51, but it's technically impossible to get a 5.51, and when you ask him, he always has these stories about, oh, well, I shift in this way and that way and everything else like that, but it's a small enough game, you can disassemble the code, you can see the code and where it interprets these things. Basically, his entire story is bullshit. How he got the score through in the first place, unknown, not relevant at this point. As I said, it was 36 years ago. People were not really checking these things as meticulously as they are today. But Billy Mitchell, and he had other scores. He had a bunch of scores on Twin Galaxies, including apparently on Centipede. He had a score of claim score of 65 million, while the next highest score was 58,000. Which does seem like the type of thing that you would kind of look at and be like, really? So all of his scores have been thrown out of Twin Galaxies. He's no longer listed in the Guinness Book of World Records for his Dragster score. So, just on that front. The other thing is Billy Mitchell, and Billy Mitchell had claimed a bunch of scores as well, but was, infamous, I don't know, something for his Donkey Kong score, which he claimed the highest score in for a while in 2010, but his 2010 run was refereed by Todd Rogers. Todd Rogers, the guy who's been kicked out of all Twin Galaxies and everything else like that, was the only guy who was refereeing that. There's no video proof, there's no evidence. Like, people saw him playing, but not the high score. And then they've got some weird, evidence of them, switching out game boards and other things like that. So there is a video of him getting a high score, but it was, thoroughly taken apart frame by frame and shown that it's rendered by MAME, the arcade emulator, not on a real machine. And it's not that you can't get a high score in MAME, but it's a different category because the games are not perfectly emulated and play differently. So you can tell because of how scan lines work and how MAME renders things versus how things were rendered on a CRT and so on and so forth, whether something is actually on an arcade machine. And it turns out, unsurprisingly, because Billy Mitchell is a tool, that it's not. You can see more about Billy Mitchell's attempt to get the high score in Donkey Kong in the documentary King of Kong, but as I said, the guy's a fraud, so don't worry too much about it. So 2 different guys, Todd Rogers for Dragster and Billy Mitchell for Donkey Kong, both frauds. None of their scores matter. Billy Mitchell is a litigious asshole as well, but that's another story, and so be it. Just wanted to set the record straight on that. But is it just like score? Does the game get harder? Because I feel like it's just the same thing over and over. Like, does the enemies get more difficult? Do they get more aggressive? Like, is there any actual gameplay here that changes from level to level? Or is it just like, how annoying do you consider this type of gameplay that you're willing to spend your entire life doing exactly these motions over and over and over again? In an attempt to get them to do something different. Or rather, I don't know, in an attempt to get more points, getting them to do the same thing. Alright, come over here, red dude. Sentient fire. Oh, you're gonna follow me over here? God damn it. Sentient fires, I need you to leave that little corner there so I can get over there. Oh shit, I'm actually gonna run out of time. Although I think that's just a bonus, so you don't actually have that as a time limit, right? I've never actually had it go to 0, I don't think, so I wouldn't know. And I'm not going to have it go to 0 this time either, because that's not the kind of way we play here. But yeah, so does the game actually get harder? This is a question. I do feel like the springs get faster on the second level. And definitely there are different patterns of barrels in some of these levels. But I don't know, are they always the same? Are they less the same? I don't know. It's really a question for me here. Uh-oh. There we go. Oh no. Okay, good, we're good. Yeah, so I definitely feel like there's more barrels coming at me this time than there have been on previous runs. So they sit here and grind out some points. I did get an extra life at some point in there, so that's good. Go ahead and make our way up here. And away we go. But yeah, so this is one of the most popular arcade games of the 1980s. It was apparently a significant step up in gameplay from other games of the era. And so they sold a ton of units of it. It was one of the launch titles on both the Famicom in Japan and, of course, the Nintendo Entertainment System in the US. And so, yeah. And here we are, 30-something years later, 32 years later, like, playing it again. I think this is actually one of the games that is on the Switch Online service, too. I just love their Donkey Kong. Oh no! Okay. So I probably should have just walked up to the platform and done that. But hey, I got a top score, so that's cool. Now, does Game B change anything? This is something I never really figured out. Also, interestingly, the copyright on this is 1981 that they show on that page, but the NES version would have postdated that significantly, so it's interesting that they picked that particular date as their listed copyright date. Of course, copyright dates don't really matter after the 1976 Copyright Act because you're no longer required to like meet all of these various conditions in order to ensure your copyright. So I'm pretty sure that that number is just meaningless and doesn't offer any value, but I don't know. Uh-oh. Okay, we're fine. Go ahead and roll over you and bounce over you. Hua hua. Yippee-ki-yay, kalu-kale. So in this one, I guess they can roll down the broken ladders. Which, I mean, it makes sense that a barrel could roll down a broken ladder as much as it could down a non-broken ladder. Like, at the point where you're rolling down a ladder successfully, it's just gravity. There's no... like, it's not climbing the stairs, so... I'll allow it, as they say, in the circles where they allow things. I'm not really sure what those circles are, but... if you were some kind of judge of whether things are allowed in video games, I don't know what that job would be. Like a Magic the Gathering, like, competition judge, I guess, maybe? I know that they have rules for those, and people get all cranky about them, and they're like, you can't do that. That's violating Rule 76 of the Magic the Gathering League Tournament Rules 17. Maybe like Scrabble referees, too. I feel like that's the other place where you got a lot of rules lawyering going on, is in Scrabble. So there's all these words, and people are like, is that a valid word? And it's like, well, it's in my Scrabble Dictionary 73 in the 2017 edition, so, you know, I believe that Zapsiviv is a word, and if you don't understand the word Zapsiviv, then really I think the problem is on you. And of course they say it in that kind of tone of voice, too. It's an important part of the Scrabble refereeing position, is to use the Tom Brokaw voice, I like to call it, because it sounds a little bit like what I imagine Tom Brokaw sounds like. It's actually when I was listening to some AM radio DJ, not AM, FM radio DJ growing up, they mentioned that if you ever wanted to sound like Tom Brokaw in like a news broadcast or something like that, that what you should do is say a killer laurel in that kind of voice, because saying a killer laurel is something that puts you in the Tom Brokaw accent. So you say like, a killer laurel. Good evening, I'm Tom Brokaw. I wouldn't even know how to spell his name. Is the last letter a V? Is it a W? Tom Brokaw? Tom Brokaw? I don't know. When he puts his letters together like that in this way that I imagine that he does based on some comment someone made on an FM radio program many years ago, like, it sounds like maybe it's a V, but I feel like it's a W. Tom Brokaw says, good evening, this is the news. I don't know. I would never be a good news anchor. It's not a role I would be good at. I could be maybe, I could imagine being a good comedy news anchor. Like, I could be the next Trevor Noah. Okay, so here's the trick. With the B game, those barrels were farther apart. In the A game, I could jump over 2 barrels at a time, but this game, no. We're not going to do that. We don't need to do 2-player. That's just 2-player back and forth. So we'll try one more time with game A, and we'll see if we can make it to level 5. That's going to be our challenge. It's one of the songs on Will Smith's album with the Fresh Prince song on it, I think. Talks about, like, Jazzy Jeff making Donkey Kong noises for him because he's addicted to Donkey Kong. Thousands of Madalas have been poured into all types of games trying to get the high score. And then DJ Jazzy Jeff could make a Donkey Kong noise and it would satisfy Will Smith's particular need for video game noises. So, bum 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 bum.
Yo, ready, get funky with it.
I don't know, something along those lines. I am not a huge aficionado / person who remembers exactly the notes and tunes of Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff from the early 90s. I am much more of a late 90s, early 2000s pop song kind of person, as we all know. Which is why I like to sing things like, you know, This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan, released in 1995. Of course, tonight is not Monday, or it's not Friday. It's not Monday. Yes, it is the opposite of not Monday. That fireball wants to eat me, and I don't want to be eaten by it. Alright, so far we have lost 1 life. We are on level 1. Unfortunately, that particular combination does not work well. By the way, those hammers do let me grab an item which will allow me to kill the fireballs. Gives me some points, and generally is a good thing. It's gonna look just like this. But then I'm stuck, because I can't climb ladders while I'm doing it. So in this particular level, you know, it's good if you've got so many fireballs that you need to kill some, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. But other than that, maybe not so useful. And yeah, so we will just come back over here, avoid him, grab the purse, and down we go to wait for a man with less discriminating tastes. So yeah, I took out Donkey Kong, aka King Kong, thief of Princess Peach / Paulette. I don't know, something like that. I wonder if the graphics are actually different. Like, I wonder if Jumpman looks any different than Mario, like they actually changed the game for that, or if it's just that, like, canonically in the NES version, of course, it's Mario, even though he looks exactly the same as the character called Jumpman. I don't know, I've never actually, like, tried to play or look at the arcade version. Never spent a quarter of my money playing Donkey Kong because I would spend my quarters on things like Galaga and Asteroid. Asteroid, of course, being an interesting arcade game because it's actually a vector game rather than a raster game. So it's one of the games where if you play it in emulation versus in what's it called? Emulation versus not emulation, like in the actual arcade, it provides a very different visual experience because the vector drawing produces these very bright spots of light and things that you don't get when you're doing emulation of it on a CRT or an LCD or whatever else like that. So bum 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 bum. But yeah, I am a big Galaga fan. That is one of my favorite games to play in arcades. I definitely go straight for that one. And of course it's nice because it's a retro enough arcade machine game that it usually only costs a quarter unless you're at a really dickish arcade. Barcades tend to have this problem that they overcharge even for really old games because, you know, their whole point is to make money and get you to drink more. I don't know why they would think, but if, like, I wonder how much money barcades make from the arcade machines versus the alcohol. Like, I know alcohol generally is going to have a way better margin, but are the types of people who are going to barcades, like, big drinkers, or are they bigger, like, video game players? Because, like, I am definitely not... Like, I enjoy a good drink, don't get me wrong, but I am not, like, a big drinker. And I've been to barcades several times, so clearly I am representative of the barcade clientele, and therefore everything must be exactly the way that I am, otherwise it wouldn't be a barcade. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like, what's your revenue strategy? Like, do you just try to use the quarters to max, like, to have the machines pay for themselves? Do you pay for new machines that way? Like, do you pay your staff out of drinks? Like, what's your goal? Because, like, the arcade machine, or the barcade near me, I think charges 50 cents for a game of Galaga, and it's like, come on, seriously? Galaga? 50 cents for Galaga? Like, that's the way you're gonna do me? Come on. Because that's not the way that it should be done. Galaga is a very old game, it should cost a quarter. But I don't know how you pick that. Like, do you pick it based on popularity? Do you do it based on age of the game? In my mind, it's all done via age of the game. In my mind, older games cost less, newer games cost more. It's like inflation. But of course, like, if you buy a Galaga machine now, it probably costs, like, a good working order Galaga machine probably costs more than when it did when you bought it originally. So maybe I'm being ridiculous, and Galaga should cost 50 cents. Maybe all video games should cost 50 cents to play in arcades. Or maybe we should just not have arcades anymore, we should play everything at home. Or we should have, I don't know. But yeah, the local barcade actually has a, it has a, like, Crusin USA style Mario Kart arcade racer, which I looked up and I guess was introduced in the US in 2014, which I found kind of interesting. Okay, so we don't actually want to sit around and jump barrels because jumping barrels costs, or doesn't, like, it takes about 1 tick of the bonus for every barrel we jump, and we only get 100 points for a barrel, so it makes more sense to try and go for the bonus. Alright, we'll go ahead and jump past this guy. I hope we can make it. Jump here, and no! Oh, okay, good. Thought that was gonna kill me. Sometimes even though, like, I don't fall all the way down, it ends up being that, like, those jumps can kill you. There we go. Bounce right underneath me, Spring. Thank you very much. I wonder if the umbrellas in this game are what kind of influenced the idea of Peach having an umbrella later in her Mario life, or if she had an umbrella for some other reason. Interesting ideas. Things that you might think or know. I don't know. I'm gonna just come over here and... Yeah, so this is where I get stuck, right? Like, now I can't go anywhere, can't do anything. All All these fireballs spawning. Take out that platform and this platform. Alright, third level, 2 lives remaining. So one interesting thing is that these gaps, you have to jump over them. If you step even one hole in the wrong place, 1 pixel, you'll fall straight down those gaps, even though they seem like they're about 6 inches wide. It's kind of like dropping your keys down an elevator shaft. Like, it doesn't matter how small the gap is, it can happen. I actually had a friend of mine have that happen to her. She's like, you know, I always tell myself, like, I'm always super afraid whenever I'm stepping over the threshold of an elevator, and I always tell myself, like, okay, be careful, you'll drop your keys and you'll never get them back, or whatever. And I always thought it was ridiculous. Like, it was such a silly thing to... Did one of those barrels just disappear? It was such a silly thing to be scared of, because, like, how could you ever drop your keys down an elevator shaft? Like, you'd have to be so unlucky to do that. And she said, you know, I used to tell myself that every day, every time I crossed an elevator shaft. Until today, when I dropped my keys down. It's like, oh no! Like, such a frustrating thing. And, like, what do you even do? Like, can you call maintenance and have them get it back for you? Does the building even have maintenance? Like, oh, Jesus. Okay, we're good. It's all fine. No problem. Yeah, so I definitely think these higher levels have more barrels. I was asking that question earlier, like, what's the difference? The difference is that Donkey Kong is throwing barrels more quickly, so I guess I gotta keep that in mind. Donkey Kong throws barrels more quickly as you level up. No! I hate that. I hate that that's not, like, an object you can step on. I think you actually can't step anywhere on the bottom of this map. And I get it, like, I've played it enough times at this point that I know better. Like, I knew that I couldn't walk along the bottom. I'm not surprised by it. But it just feels like, you know, there's no visual indication of it. How am I supposed to know? Oh, seriously? Come on. Fine. Fine. Screw you. We're just gonna call done with Donkey Kong then. So that's, Donkey Kong for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Released 1981 by Nintendo. And based on the arcade game of that same era that was one of the most popular arcade games of the era. So, in addition to Donkey Kong, of course, there was a whole other raft of games. There was Donkey Kong 3 and 2, and there was various iterations of Donkey Kong and other things like that. But for my life, for my love, for my gaming history, Donkey Kong Jr. was the game that I spent more time with than any other Donkey Kong. It's one of the games that I had an actual NES cartridge of when I was growing up. So now we'll move straight from Donkey Kong into Donkey Kong Jr. So in addition to Donkey Kong, of course, there's Donkey Kong Jr. In Donkey Kong Jr., the intent is that our little friend Donkey Kong is going to come and rescue our little friend Donkey Kong Jr. is going to come rescue the original Donkey Kong, his papa, who Mario has, I guess, now figured out how to capture. The fact that he figured out how to do that, you know, it kind of makes me wonder, like, you know, it seems like in the original Donkey Kong, like, you just keep going and going and going, and he keeps having the princess, and you keep rescuing her, and then you do it again and again and again and again, and it's like, okay, well, if you had the ability to rescue her, I don't know. It feels like maybe you should have done that at some point in the, you know, 27 levels that you went and, or if you had the ability to capture him, maybe on the 27th time you were rescuing the princess, you should have done that. Yeah, there's only 27, of course, because, oh no! So the bonus timer, counts up in Donkey... Oh, crap! Okay, did it. That's good. And we even got the skip. Oh no! Oh god! Okay, that went backwards. I did not mean to go backwards. This game definitely feels a little bit more... Like, part of it's just the design of it. Like, things are moving and you connect to them and so on and so forth, but it feels more glitchy. But yeah, so in the original Donkey Kong, you could only play through 27 levels, because after that, the counter that is used for the bonus would roll over at 255 internally, and you would only get like 4 seconds to beat a level or something along those lines. So I played a lot of this game when I was a kid. I played this game way more than the original Donkey Kong, and I don't know why. It's not like it was, like, magically, like, significantly more compelling. Like, it has pretty much the same basic, like, 4-level repeating, looping design, so... But yeah, this is one I played a lot of. Go on, little Sparky. Let's go. I'm losing bonus points here. Alright, there we go. Up we go. One more key in the bank. We're gonna rescue this Donkey Kong. Also, is Mario like tossing that crate full of Donkey Kong on his back? Like, did Donkey Kong Jr. consider like just hanging out until he's like going to move Donkey Kong and rescuing him then, rather than anything else? I don't know. Seems like maybe that would have been a wise idea to help give himself a little bit easier of a time. So going down, you want to be on 1 chain. Going up, you want to be on 2 chains. Also known as Mr. Chains, of course. Okay, there we go. And dodge little red chompy slippers. Up we go, and in. Done. Also, like, I don't know about most people, but having that giant Donkey Kong land on my head sounds hard. Seems just a little bit difficult. Alright. Down we go quickly. Oh god. What the fuck? Like, how exactly does he jump backwards? That seems wrong. I wonder what speedruns of this game look like. I guess there's probably not speedruns because there's no end goal that you get to. Like, a speedrun would be, you know, how fast can you get the first donkey, or how fast can you get 5 of them, or something else like that. But that doesn't seem particularly interesting for most of the speedrunners out there. Also, how exactly can he go right through that platform and I can't? Seems unfair. I mean, I know he's a little chompy slipper and I'm not, but still. Ah! Okay. Fine. Yeah, like, getting caught on that edge there is where I spend so much of my time playing this game, and it just never feels fair. Nothing's fair! Oh! I hate that. It's the worst way to die. You gotta time it just perfectly if you want to get the skip. There we go. Luckily, once you're on this, even though it goes up and down, normally it does not actually go up and down while you're on it, which is good. Oh no, the egg! The egg! I forgot about the egg. Ah. Okay. That was a warm-up round. It's been a while since I've played. Actually, I want to try game mode 2 and see... Well, nope. We're going to do another one of these. I wanted to try game mode 2, and I forgot to push the right button. I don't remember if game mode 2 is actually any different, or if it's just the same again like the other one. Also, I like that you can go right through the chompy slippers, so long as they're on an edge like that. Yeah, doesn't matter. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Alright. Now we got good timing on this one. Plenty of room. Make our jumps. 4,300 bonus points. Boom. This is another game, of course, that was initially released in the arcade. In fact, oh crap. On the theoretical Billy Mitchell Donkey Kong world record, one of the things he demonstrated was like, oh, I'm switching out this Donkey Kong arcade board for this Donkey Kong Jr. arcade board, with this weird, like, play-acted, like, scenario, and sharp observers who pointed out that, like, those game boards look different, and you just showed us video of both of them, one of which was a Donkey Kong Jr. board, and the other one was definitely the exact same Donkey Kong Jr. board. Like, what game are you playing? Like, why did you even create this video trying to demonstrate this thing? And that was the day that theoretically he broke the world record for both Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., you know, using the same machine but swapping out the game board, which is just like, you know, at that point you're just getting greedy, Billy Mitchell. But Billy Mitchell is a huckster and a fraud, so no shock there. There we go. And on the later levels of this one, they get pretty aggressive. The more of the sparks, the gold sparks, end up doing fast loops around, and you get more of the blue sparks coming through. Overall, it definitely is one of the harder levels after a while. Because you get stuck in a situation where you can't jump, but you also can't stay down. And so basically, Mario is occasionally pulling this lever and enemies aren't coming out. And on the higher levels, there's enemies coming out all the time when he does that, which is definitely amps up the difficulty level. Let those birds go by. Come over here. And up we go. You go down. I will say that the design of these levels is you know, it's well done. I mean, they're nice levels. Like I said, I played a lot of this game as a kid. I would play it. I don't know if I'd play it for hours, but I would definitely be happy to play this game for 30, 45 minutes, just doing the same things over and over again. It's just enjoyable to try and, you know, get farther, make more points, get to more levels. You can see I did actually get an additional junior, so that's nice. Unfortunately, the jump over this guy is going to be a problem. Oh, he's gone. Alright, cool. The AI behind these particular creatures, maybe not all that great. As I said, the bitey slippers, whatever they actually are. I'm going to let this go and not get myself trapped up on it. We'll just take the long way around. Now I gotta watch out, there's gonna be an egg soon. And a jump. Could use some music. We are the DK crew. DK. Donkey Kong is here. Unfortunately, that wouldn't help me play better, so for that, I will just have to suffer. Alright, that was the egg. No egg this time, but there will be an egg next time. And we'll make our jump. And let's go, let's go, let's go. I want to make it through at least 2 full rounds. Go. Almost ran into the egg again, but I was smart this time. And through. Cool. Now we're onto these speedy electrical bits. Well, no more speediness yet, but probably have slightly more enemies coming at us this round than last round. Make that jump. I think that's the same music from the Mario jump over barrels in the first round of the original Donkey Kong. Boop, boop, boop. Just continue on here. Don't worry about the fruit. Fruit is not important. What's important is making it to the end. Picked up another key. Now we'll save Donkey Kong again. Upsy whoopsie whoopsie whoopsie. Oopsie mozzie, oopsie daisy. Still don't know where that comes from. Some Disney movie. Okay, made that. Chompy slipper. I'm just gonna take this slow here. Nice and slow. Avoided chompy slippers, and here we go. Bum bum ba dum ba dum bum. Good job, GK Junior. More little blue guys. You see we got new red guys on the map as well. So that red guy on the right-hand side didn't used to be there at all, so we didn't have that problem. Thankfully, this slipper here can't actually make the transition into this side, so we're gonna. Oh, I jumped! God damn it! All right, well, that is probably all we're gonna play. That we will try game B, see how this goes. But top score 51,300 points, nowhere near the world record. Let's try game B. I feel like this is actually different. Nope. It's just the same. It just starts at a higher difficulty level. Okay. So I think game B just starts you basically at the difficulty level of World 3. You can see that we've got the third chompy red slipper in this right-hand side here. So just like, you know what? This game's too easy for me. Let's pick up the pace. So yeah, not a game that I've ever even seen in an arcade, actually. I'm pretty sure I've seen the original Donkey Kong, but not Donkey Kong Jr. Based on that Billy Mitchell, thing that I was talking about, I guess that they actually can use the same arcade machines, although maybe that was true of a lot of things, that, you know, you just wire in a few buttons on the joysticks and the monitor and they all spoke the same language, as far as physical cabinet, but, so I guess you can put a Donkey Kong 3 board at least into a Donkey Kong cabinet, and, well, that was a quick death, but yeah. So that is Donkey Kong Jr. Goes along with our Donkey Kong play, and my top score was, what, 51,300 points, yeah, 51,300 points here for top score in Donkey Kong Jr. Thanks for watching. While Donkey Kong was one of the games that helped bring about the arcade revolution, or one of the early games in the arcade scene, it was certainly not the earliest. Arcades existed before that, and in fact, one of the games that existed in the arcade before that was Battlezone. Battlezone is an older game, and one of the early entries into the arcade scene, and in particular is sometimes credited as being the first VR, or virtual reality, game. So Battlezone has been called one of the earliest VR experiences. You know, the reason for that is because it actually provided a gameplay setup, a cabinet that actually had a periscope that you put down over your eyes in order to aim. So you're actually looking through this periscope thing. And the controls for it are a little bit unique, especially if you're going to play it now without the actual cabinet in front of you. Rather than having a left turn or right turn or anything else like this, it's driving like an actual tank. You have two sticks, left stick and right stick, and you can only push them forward and back. And then, of course, you have a fire button. So, we're going to play some Battlezone and see what we can do. I played this a little bit before. As you can see in the top right there, my top score is 15,000 points. We'll see if we can beat that this time. All right. Let's stop hiding behind this box. I need to kill you. So up at the top, you can see our radar screen. Oh, shoot. Okay, got him. So we've got a radar screen up top, and that actually highlights where the enemies are. The triangular bricks are, the shapes around us are blocks. You can't shoot through them or drive through them or anything else like this. We are killing tanks that pop up out of nowhere, because that seems, quite realistic. And occasionally a spaceship will wander through, and then we will have to shoot that for extra points. In the distance, you can see a volcano spurting out, whatever. I don't know what that is, but okay, cool. I was a little bit scared there, but thankfully he was slightly off on his aim. Okay, need to get on the other side of this box, so maybe he can't hit us. Nope, he got me. He got me! I've been killed. Interestingly enough, the Army actually thought highly enough of this Battlezone simulation that they actually commissioned the game company to, I think, Atari? They commissioned Atari to build a Brady M1 simulator or something else like that. I don't remember exactly what the tank was called, but they actually commissioned Atari to build a tank simulator, a tank training simulator based off of this technology in this game. Definitely feels a bit odd today. Alright, I can't actually figure out how to change these initials, so we are just going to be AAA. Alright, let's do this again. Yes, I can see the top scores. Come on, time for me to play. There we go. You get a better top score than 6,000. I can tell you that much. No, 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 no. Okay. Ah. So yeah, as you turn, you can turn left faster by, of course, pushing your right track forward and your left track backwards, or both of them forward moves forward, or just one of them or the other one will turn more slowly. Rather than turning in place, you'll move forward a little bit and turn at the same time. Nothing really surprising about that, but definitely for someone who's used to just turning left and right, it's a bit of a different scenario. It's an early twin stick shooter, just a first-person twin-stick shooter, but yeah, I guess later on in the life of the arcade cabinet, they actually removed the periscope. It turns out that a huge part of the draw of arcade machines is to draw other people to enjoy watching them, right? Because you can only have one person playing at a time, but you can have a lot more people watching. And so what they found was that with the periscope, like you can't really watch a lot. So you can see a little bit around the screen because the periscope did look onto a normal size screen, I think, or a screen, look onto a screen at least. Shoot. God damn it. I'm gonna drive forward away from this guy. Get on the other side of this block. Then turn around. Ah! God damn it. So they actually removed the periscope from later versions of the game because of that. It's also, of course, one of the... Oh, I'm out of coins. There we go. It's also one of the... Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, so this is... it's also a vector game. So similar to Asteroids and other things like that, rather than rendering fixed images on screen, it used vector drawing techniques. That's why you've got this kind of goofy looking look to it, with varying brightness of the lines depending on what's there, is because it actually is in a CRT, the CRT beam would be drawing over some parts of it. Oh, come on! How did he get me? I didn't see that coming at me. Whatever. And so this is similar to Asteroids, which was also another vector drawing thing, and is one of the reasons that games like this are a very different experience when you play them in an actual arcade machine on a CRT that is still in that way, and emulation is not really a good facsimile. Okay, I guess I put a space in that time. Good job, me. I think I'm gonna need to put in some more coins. There we go. Insert coin. Alright. That's right, just run away. Bravely ran away. Braves her tank. I really want to get to 15,000 points again, but I think I only got there because I managed to score 2 of the UFOs at one point, so... Oh no! I got him, but I didn't see his oncoming bullet. Never really want to be face to face with another tank. It's just really not a good way to be. Where is that? Unfortunately, I think the UFOs don't turn up on my radar, so I can't see them that way. Ugh. Oh, I was turning, but not fast enough. So a lot of the points here, I think, comes down to lucky tank placements and UFO placements. Yeah, that UFO was way out there. And this is also one of the earlier games that had conspiracy theories written about it. There was some, story out there that if you drove into the, between 2 peaks of the mountains, that there was, a secret you could get to out there or something like that. Alright. C. I could do it. Slowly. I'm gonna make it there. So it seems like the trick in this case is to push both sticks up at the same time instead of just one, like the instructions say. P. G. There we go. We did it. All right. Cool. Now I'm on the actually on the high scores list, so I definitely want to beat my high score of 15,000 points. Uh-oh. Okay, he turned past me. Good job, tank. Failing. Taking military technology and turning it into, or taking gaming technology and turning it into military technology, it turned out to not be a super popular move with the gamers of the time, who were generally a counter, you know, these are the type of kids who would go to Woodstock, not the type of kids who are likely to join the army. So Atari got some pushback socially on that, but I think that the reason, and I think that maybe like there's been some question of whether they ever actually produced the thing for that the army wanted, but the reason was because of the gaming crash. So this game was released in 1980, and by the time the army requested something and they were going to build it and do all this other work, they were running into 1983 and the video game crash of that era. So I think it was not, you know, some generosity of the soul, but just they ran out of money at the time to do it. All right, don't care about that. I just want to top my top score. Oh no! Oh, you pulled forward. Who said you could do that? There we go. Uh-oh. Alright. That's right. Keep shooting at that block. I'm sure you'll get through it eventually. Uh-oh. 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 Damn it. Control scheme is just confounding. Come back here, UFO. I want to shoot you. Oh, I missed. Yeah. Aha! I got you. Haha! I got you. Not bad. Pretty happy with that. So modern ROMs of this oftentimes redo the control scheme to be just a normal turn left, turn right control scheme. Obviously, most people are not used to a twin stick shooter on a keyboard or something like that. It was one of the big challenges for me because I didn't actually realize the control scheme when I was setting up the emulation. And I was like, I don't understand, like turning left and turning right don't work. And I eventually figured out, like I had to research the shape of the arcade machine in order to understand how to play the game. So, you know, it's one of the ways in which these older games, you know, you just can never really go home again. You can't experience them the same way that you did originally. I don't have a periscope to look through. I don't have vector drawing on the screen. I just have a weird kind of pseudo emulation of it. I don't have the two sticks that only move in one direction. I obviously can't put a quarter into my computer. Well, I guess I could, but it might like hit a fan and bounce around and like make a contact on something. I really don't want to put a quarter into my machine. How about that? I don't have a quarter slot, and even if I did put a quarter into my machine, it really wouldn't do anything. So overall, you know, there's a lot of ways in which the arcade experience is just hard to beat. It's one of the reasons I actually really enjoy Galloping Ghost. And so Galloping Ghost is a $20 entrance fee. Play for, you know, as much games as you'd like for as long as you'd like. They're open for like 9 hours. You pay like 20 bucks a day, and all the games are free play. You play whatever you want. This does lead to a little bit of interesting properties, though. One of the interesting properties of that is that you don't actually like have a lot of motivation to finish a game. So you will end up with a situation where people have just like left a game partially played. The hell is that? I don't know what that was. Alright, almost to my top score. Oh god. Okay. Ah! Okay, they've got like missiles coming at me now. Ah! God damn it, it got me. Okay, it's fine. And I've still got a tank up at the top. I guess that's my lives in the top above my score, which I didn't actually realize before. Ah! God damn it! Oh no! Ah! Alright, I did it. I got a higher score. Alright, C... P... G... Oh, I just have to hold it down for longer. I was pressing it rather than holding it. Okay, we did it. We have 20,000 points on Battlezone. So Battlezone, one of the early arcade machines, 1980 arcade machine, originally came with a periscope, originally came with twin sticks, and was later being adapted by Atari for the Army as an Army training, a tank training simulator. Fell apart as a result of the 1983 crash, but there you go. Some early Battlezone Atari gameplay. This has been a game that's been on my list to play for a long time, but setting up MAME in the middle of a stream is just a pain in the butt. So here you go. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the game and history of Battlezone and arcade machines. For my quarters, of course, Battlezone was not the game that I ended up playing the most. In fact, the game that I've ended up playing the most in arcades is none other than Galaga, that top-down shooter that lets you shoot weird Galaga alien things. I don't know. One of my favorite games, no matter what arcade I'm in, and of course now in the modern era, since this is an older game, it usually only costs $0.25, and you can't beat that. So one of the games that I always like whenever I go into an arcade machine or whatever else like that is that I really like Galaga. It's one of my favorite games, and it's usually cheap, which is nice too, because it's an old enough game. And so, you know, anytime I want something for comfort or just a quick run of anything, I will actually sit down and play Galaga. This has actually been true for a long time. I used to actually play Galaga back when at my first job that I got. Well, not my first job. My first job after I dropped out of college. So I worked at a company called WeDo. And one of the people who worked there actually had built his own MAME arcade machine that lived in the office. And so in addition to having an office cat, an office tandem bike that was just like hanging out in the office for no good reason, and a punching like form. It was like a guy, I think it was Bob, punching Bob or something. We also had a MAME machine. And it was pretty much like once or twice a day, I would get stuck on something, and I would wander over, and I would play a round of Galaga. And I still do that today. At work, we have a Galaga machine. In fact, just yesterday, actually, I scored a new high score on our office Galaga machine. Again, it's just a multi-arcade MAME machine, so it's not like it's an actual real original Galaga machine, but I think I should get an extra life once this kicks in. Boom, there we go. So the extra lives are at 30,000 and 80,000 points, or 70,000. It depends on the config of the game. I don't remember what the Nintendo NES's version is configured at, so but yeah, so this is a nice game. It kills about 5-10 minutes. It's good for like stepping away from the computer if you've got a build or you need to think about something because you've got some problem that is giving you crap, or you got a person that you might strangle if you keep talking. Like, all of these things work well. Oops, I gotta actually watch out for what's going at me. Alright. And of course, aficionados of war games will recognize this game from being one of the ones that Matthew Broderick, I guess, is playing at the beginning of war games. In fact, there's a continuity error in that where he's on level like 9, and then suddenly they switch away and switch back, and suddenly he's on level like 2. But you know, whatever. Can't win them all. People don't realize. Gotta get those continuity errors out of there. So I'm not actually sure why, but I'm actually much better at the NES version than I am at the MAME machine version. I don't know if there's something about the shots or the responses or the controller or what, but it definitely feels a lot easier. Doing pretty well so far here. But yes, there's been one top scorer at the top of the charts, and I think in the particular machine we have, the other scores must reset pretty often or something, because like I put my name in and then I look back and it's gone. But his top score has been there for like months since we got the machine repaired, and I finally was able to beat it. Made me feel kind of special. So I don't remember if you get extra lives here and they're so I guess my extra life was at 70,000. But I don't know if it actually counts. Like, I don't know if I actually have more lives than are visible here, because I already had... Yeah, I don't know if you get, like, another life beyond this, if it actually counts as an extra life that you just can't see, or if it just doesn't count. Games do various different things in the old arcade era. So one of the interesting things about playing Galaga is that you only have the ability to have 2 shots on the screen at once, or 4 shots in the case where you have the double ship. And so it can be, you know, a consideration of, like, do I take a shot now when I might miss, or do I save it for later, and prevents you from just, like, filling the screen with shots. Which is part of what makes the game difficult. There we go. So there, I had to chase him down, but since I already had shots on the screen, I couldn't shoot for a little bit, so... So I've played this game 5 or 6 times on stream before, I think. There we go. Oh god. Ah! Oh no, I got hit. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. I will not be able to get another double ship on this particular round, because to get a double ship, you have to have one of these... Oh! This is gonna work. Okay. Usually, that doesn't work because you have to have the ship come down twice. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I wonder if that's a difference between the arcade ROM? Like, that the NES version changed that? But yeah, usually it's the second ship that comes down. It seems like in this case, what actually happened was it was the second time a ship came down, it went ahead and did the extra ship thing. So that is definitely an improvement as far as I'm concerned. Gonna help me get a little bit further here because I was gonna have a little bit of trouble pulling up the beginning of these things. Oh no! Oh, double death! Ah, I hate that. And so this is what happens to me every time I get into these high levels, is you end up with a situation where it's becomes very easy to die a lot very quickly. All right, we'll go ahead and do this. There is a problem that if you only have if you have no lives left, you can actually allow your last fighter to be sucked up by that, and then you lose it. Like, and then it's just game over. Like, congratulations, you jumped into a pit as your last life. The other problem, of course, is you can shoot your ship when it's on the back of that. So I was being very careful there. And sometimes a little too cautious, making sure that I hit the enemy and not my ship. Of course, the reason that I am so adamant about trying to get rid of all of these ships as they come in is that, especially in these higher levels, they basically send in 12 ships and only 8 are going to fly up, and the other, like, 2 or 4 are going to come down and kill you. And so the more you can shoot on the way in, the better chance you have of not having them try and fly in a kamikaze mode at you. There we go. Perfect score. That was actually really easy, especially if you've got the double ships, because they do those kind of looping things all around. So you actually have a lot of chances to kill them. Whereas with some of these other ones, you really have to be in the right place even before the ships come down. Otherwise, you don't have a chance of hitting them. There's gonna be trouble. Ah! There were also a couple of later Galaga, I don't know, remakes is the wrong word, but sequels, I guess. There was like a Galaga 2 and a Galaga 3, as well as, of course, Galaxian, which was a similar but different game. I think one was made by Namco and one wasn't, but I'm not entirely positive on that. And of course, this is like not a super uncommon genre for the time. And there you go, 159,740 points tonight on this NES version. I should be able to put my name in on the high scores, I think. I don't know if that's the NES. The NES version doesn't have high scores, but I do have my photo of my score on the work machine. You can see that I beat Lee's 142,000 with 150,830 points. So I was able to successfully win after weeks of occasionally walking by the machine on my way in or out of the office and giving it a try, or occasionally going over in the afternoon. So I did something I'm very proud of. 150,830 points is the number of points that I got for my high score on my work Galaga machine. Thanks for watching my Galaga. And finishing up our arcade run of the evening is one of the games that I would play if I was feeling really rich. Crusin World, or Crusin USA. This game, sit-down racing game with a steering wheel and a gear shift and all these other things. But because I was always poor when I played in arcades, not a game I spent as much time with in the arcade because it just costs too goddamn much. But we can play it here tonight, coming from the N64. So, Crusin USA, Crusin World, other games like this are exactly the type of thing that I also enjoyed playing in the arcade. Now, the problem with this one is that it tends to be expensive. These games are newer, and they tended to cost 50 cents or even 75 cents for a single play, and you don't get to play as long. Okay, let's pick a car before we go any further. We've got an ATV, which I'm probably not going to drive. This looks like a... I don't know, like a Dodge Viper, like that's a Viper, like the RT10. I don't know what this is supposed to be. What if they got like a Cadillac? My first car was a 1987 Cadillac Seville. The 1987 Cadillac Seville was probably the smallest Cadillac I ever built, but I still had one. It came from my grandfather. It was one of those, like, driven only every Wednesday to go to the grocery store type of thing. Alright, so the Road King actually has one of the top speeds, has a ton of horsepower, but it has a crappy aero coefficient, I guess. Let's see, what do we got here? Got 0.25, 0.3, okay, so this one is slower, but has a better coefficient. This one is fast, but doesn't. Okay, I think I'm gonna drive this thing. It's good for aero coefficient, and we're just gonna do some cruising the world here. I don't know what the hell this car is. All right, let's go. All right, pass everybody up. So the thing about cruising is that so I always drive automatic. I know that, again, this is one of those, like, you're not a real player, but, like, why combine shifting with things? And I guess that the answer is because that's the only way to win once you get into top-tier Crusin World play. And so maybe that's the trick. Maybe that's the reason why this game always felt so expensive to me, is because I didn't drive in manual, and therefore I could never, actually get anywhere in the races or something. But, it is what it is. Oh no, come back here. Oh god. Okay. But my general feeling is that most of this game, what actually causes you to win or lose is just avoiding running into things, whether it's other players or oncoming traffic or the edges, with an additional level of making your turns more efficient. So with the steering wheels in the arcade machines, you're always tempted to kind of slam the steering wheel all the way in one direction because it doesn't turn very fast. But doing that means that you get a little bit more skidding on your wheels, and so a nice gentle curve works better. Or there you can see I just actually missed an entire curve by just staying straight and aiming on a straight line to these curves. Now, I will say that driving underwater in these this glassed in case is something that I've driven a lot of roads in my life, but I've never done anything like that. I wonder if any road like that actually exists in the real world. Like, is there any place where you can drive, even under a lake or a pond or anything else like that, out into like a glass encased thing? And I assume not, because glass is just not the safety material you'd want to have there. It's not solid enough. Oh no, okay, good. Third, I think, passes in this game. Like the textured dancing bodies there. It's like there's no 3D to these. These are just flat people. Alright, I am CPG. See how good my score is. How well I did. Let's see it. Lay that CPG on me. Alright. CPG scored just below the previous CPG. We're good. We're good. Let's head off to Japan. Japan is medium difficulty, I guess, rather than easy or whatever. Alright. Go, little car. Go. 2, 3, 4. No, not quite 4. 4. Yeah, so at this point, like, assuming I did everything right, like, that would be the only part where shifting gears would matter in this entire race. So what actually happens is that I completely forget about shifting, and then I crash into something, and I'm like, why is my car not going? And it's because I'm not shifting. Because it's something that you only do in a good case, like, very occasionally. Ah, so close to being in first. It's alright. We'll catch back up. I should have a higher top speed than that guy, but he's trying to beat me. Get this guy trying to pass me. Haha! I'm in first for now. Thanks for the bump. Appreciate that. Just use my car's body to do that. Yeah. So when I was the 1987 Cadillac Seville is the car that I drove. I don't know if you've heard the story about me having to push my car through a toll booth, but that was something that I did in the 1987 Cadillac Seville, and of course it was a one of the reasons that happened to me is because one of the plugs in the bottom of the engine like had rotted away after 18 years of being driven very rarely. And so taking on the highway, it's like, oh yeah, no, everything's just like, this used to be rubber and now it's just gone. There is no more. First place. That is me, CPG. You down with CPG? Yeah, you know me. Alright. Let's go on to Australia. So yeah, I think in the arcade version you had to come in first in order to continue playing, at least in one of the cases that I played. And then, of course, sometimes you would drive so badly you would get kicked out at an early checkpoint. So when I was younger, especially, that would be the problem for me, is that I would pay 75 cents, which at the time was a lot. That's, 3 rounds of Galaga. But yeah, so I'd pay 75 cents, and then I would make it to, like, the first checkpoint or something like that. And it's like, I got 1 minute of gameplay out of this. What the fuck? I'm just, like, between two guys, and at the same time, they both dash towards me. Assholes. Alright. Oh! Came off that bump badly. Ugh! But yeah, there's actually a Crusin USA machine. Oof. Crusin USA machine at my local barcade. Roxy's Grilled Cheese and Barcade. Here in Boston, so I've played it once or twice there. Of course, the other thing about Crusin USA is that they were almost always paired machines, so you could actually do races against another player, so you would have not just the ability to figure out whether you were going to get in first, but of course whether you could play faster than your brother or whatever, which is an important thing when you are a 11-year-old who is wanting to play arcade machines, that you have to beat your brother playing video games as well. God damn it. Yeah, that was not good, and it was because I got hit. Like I said, this game is all about not getting destroyed. Although that's also a shorter race, because the other ones I got like 1 minute and 41 seconds and came in first, and this one was like 1 minute and 27 seconds. So can I replay? Yeah, let's try this at least one more time. I don't have to pay 75 cents per run to do it here, so we'll do that. But yeah, I think the Crusin USA has something that is akin to a Cadillac or some other sedan-style car rather than just sports cars. Then again, this obviously has things that aren't sports cars too. It has the Roadmaster, one of the highest top-speed cars in the game. So if you wanted to drive a giant truck, you got that going for you. Let's do this. We got kangaroos bouncing across the road. And so this is played via an N64 port. The original, I assume, was an arcade machine at the time. And of course, because this is an emulated N64, it probably doesn't look exactly like the original would. But it's definitely you know, it's an interesting, just interesting. You know, nice 3D environments. We were doing a little bit of American Truck Simulator recently on the channel, and I was talking about, you know, emulating the real world. This obviously doesn't do that. It's a very different experience, but okay, I got about 20 seconds to catch up to these guys. Oh god. Okay. Kept him out of third. Alright, there we go. We didn't quite catch up to second or first, but we did cut about 7 seconds off of our time by keeping that guy behind us. Could be a girl too, I guess. You can have women racers. It's actually a video I watched about racing teams in Israel. Oh right, Anthony Bourdain. When Anthony Bourdain did his trip to Israel, he then went into Palestine, and apparently they've got a all women's racing team in Palestine that he, you know, got set up with and did an interview with. Interesting. Which I assume, you know, I don't know, in the U.S. and in England especially, I think like, the friends I have, they're all women teams. They're all roller derby players. So I guess there's shortcuts on these races. Like, I feel like there's twice now that I've seen like something off to the side, which if I'd turned could have been better for me, but didn't know it was there until too late. I guess that's another thing you can do to become an expert at this game, is learn where all the shortcuts are. Alright. I wonder if going over the top on those little... Oh god! Crap. Okay, well... I was gonna say at least one guy's still behind me, but unfortunately he, even after his crash, got started again pretty quick. Yeah, so I feel like if you got off on that shortcut at the right time, it feels like it's a much straighter thing. It cuts through like several different curves here, but I unfortunately did not. Ugh! Okay, we're on a narrow little road now. Can't go straight. Oh god! I'm bouncing all over the place. Okay, there we go. There we go. Stay ahead of the beetle. My little three-wheeler is having a little bit of hard time with traction there. Hey, look at that! And you got a picture of Mao or something? I don't know who that is. Allow me to demonstrate my lack of information about China. Who that funny guy hanging? I've seen pictures of him before, so he's somebody famous, but... Alright, I like that the best times are all like 19 seconds lower than you need to get in first place. Like, what is that supposed to mean? It's like, the best people who've ever played this game are nowhere near as good as the 7th place computer competitor. Like, that's not sending a good message. Basically just means you're competing against yourself for top scores, which is, I guess, the default for most arcade machines. Their goal is not to make it feel like it's impossible to beat the computer-entered scores. They want all of those scores to be humans who are competing against each other. So I definitely know that the default scores, like the default top score in Galaga, in both the NES version and in the arcade version, is like 30,000 points. Like, it's not, it's nothing to write home about. All right, what do we got coming up here? Alright, I don't know which path was better here, but... Seems like that didn't make a whole lot of difference. We got the high line and the low line, as they would be described in marble rally races. But we're not doing marble rally. We're trying to get into 3rd place so we can advance from Kenya here in Crusin World. I feel like these guys are all going faster than me. I have supposedly one of the top speed, like the top speed. No, I guess I'm getting on them slowly. It's just that there's too many turns, and they're better at turning because they're computers that are good at that. Just gonna go up here. That was probably a mistake. Alright, I don't have to beat the bear, I just have to beat you. Oh god. Roadmaster in my way, bump you off the road! God damn it! No! No, 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 no! No! Oh! Oh. Well, I think that's gonna be it for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to cruise the whole world, but we will put on our top time here to show that we are better than all these computerized players that were trying to take us out. Ha! Take that, Rob! Alright, and that is it. That's Crusin World, another one of the arcade machines that I will play routinely, but not quite as routinely because it always costs too goddamn much. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you love arcade games, Then there's all types of different arcade games out there. There's hundreds of different games that you may have never heard of or played before. And I learned that in part when I went to Galloping Ghost Arcade. 2 years ago, I went to Galloping Ghost Arcade and got a chance to hang out with a bunch of other YouTubers there. I did a live stream from there. And so we're going to revisit some of that, as well as mix in some new things that you've never seen before, including one of the weirdest games I've ever seen, a game using a black and white CRT with colored filters in order to provide its game display screen.
Walkers! Sounds like Paul Harvey. So now you'll know the rest of the story. Oh, she gone. She's dead. She's dead. She's never coming back now. Ah! Okay, cool. That's fine. What do we hit? Oh God, am I dead? I'm dead. Oh shit! Oh, I'm back. Take it back. There you go.
This is Kadzo playing Star Wars. I'm not live streaming this though.
I'm done.
We could have actually probably just sat in this back corner and it would have worked just fine, but all the other parts of the arcade are so loud.
Live streamception?
Nah.
No recording?
But I'm hanging out now inside of Galloping Ghost, and we have arcade machines everywhere. So, you know, behind me, you can see Kadzo hanging out and playing some Star Wars. But if you look through this place, you can see that it's not just a few arcade machines. This place is packed. So we've got all kinds of things here. You can check it out on their website. They have a nice list of all the games. But here we've got things like G.I. Joe, a real American hero. We've got games like Wacko, which is weird and sideways for reasons I don't understand. And I haven't heard of any of these. But they have a whole area in here about Street Fighter. They have stuff from Mortal Kombat. In this back corner, you got some shooting games. I'm not drunk, for the record. I have no alcohol in my system. So yeah, as I walk through, you can see these. One of the games that I actually was going to mention to Gamer Guide commentaries was a video game, some weird Japanese Sonic arcade game I didn't understand. I don't know. Hello. So back here we've got 1942 and Time Pilot and other things like that. We've got games, pinball machines in this corner here.
Oh God!
Twilight Zone, we've got Funhouse, and Tales from the Black Lagoon. As I walk along here, you can see a bunch of the games: Silkworm, P-47, Airbotter. Yes, absolutely the place to be. You got that right. So yeah, we've got all kinds of different games. Everywhere you look, you got different games. We got Mission Craft. We've got cool things like the early Vector version of Star Wars. We've got this weird hologram game that I've never seen. I don't know if I've seen it on Xevious.
Cartoon the Robot.
You can check Gamer Guide. Galloping Ghost Arcade is the website. So the Sonic game, yes, it has a trackball. So this is the Sonic game. So it is Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which I don't know what that was, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Primal Rage, really?
What's that?
Primal Rage.
Yes, Primal Rage. So yeah, this is the Mortal Kombat Killer Instinct Primal Rage 1 and 2. Over here you got the Grid, which I've never heard of. So yeah, all kinds of different games throughout this arcade. You got a cool little missile command here. And there's a better tour of this all on the Galloping Ghost arcade website, but you know, if you get it from them, you're not getting it from me. Here's the Street Fighter machine where I kick Narcos Buck. There you go. This one might be one that they built. So I know that if you look on their website, they've talked about the fact that sometimes they've taken games that are console games and put them into arcade cases. So I don't know if that's the case here or not. This is where we've got some of these kind of weird, like Anteater and Mousetrap are some cool little games here. We got a Crusin USA car here. These car things that kind of should move. I think all the motors are disabled. This fun little game called Turkey Shoot. Trying to look at any other cool ones we've got lying around. Rampage. I played some Rampage earlier. I've also got Tron and Discs of Tron. So yeah, some cool stuff there. What else? I'm trying to remember what I saw. I'm also trying to put not too many other people who aren't part of my little crew into the camera. So if I seem like I'm doing something funky, it's usually because I'm doing something funky. So don't feel bad about that. Right. What was I? Oh yeah, I wanted to show the Star Wars, the Vector Star Wars, which I thought was cool. Oh, and what's the Tempest? They have Tempest. So the Tempest, the Atari Star Wars. So this is one that I was just playing. It's got yeah. So all these machines are free play. You pay $15 to get in, and you end up playing for as long as you like. So yeah, I love these old Vector style games that are.
Dude, I played Tetris. Not Tetris, Tempest.
It's a deal.
They have Tempest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
that
that's what.
was my childhood game growing up.
So yeah, they've got Tempest. Hey.
Oh my gosh, those were the games that I was playing back when I was growing up.
Back when you were growing up, Tempest was the shit.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? All right, so we're gonna find. Oh yeah, we got Super Iron Man, Super Off Road. So those of you who are longtime followers know that this is a game I grew up playing because they had 4 players, and when you have 3 brothers, your parents are very big into letting everyone play at the same time. So we did some of that. You got Paperboy with the bike handles. So you got that going on. This is where all the wheels are. So you've got Super Hang On and Super Outrun and other things like that. Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, Mario Brothers, Flicky, Frogger, Buck Rogers, Krull, Cubert, and here's the Tempest I was thinking of. So to get back to the Vector Games land, you got Tempest, which I can't really play with one hand. I realize as I'm sitting here. But yeah, so a whole bunch of cool games, and again a Star Trek strategic operations simulator. More Vector graphics. I just like those types of things. I found one of the original Vector asteroids in here last time, so anyway, I just wanted to give a quick tour of the inside of the place from my perspective. Again, earlier you saw Miss Rebel, Kodzo, Narcost, Craig Plays, Good Luck Gamers, and a few other people. You're renting out for a private event to do the porno. Sounds good, Kyle fucking Davis. But yeah, so that's, as you can see, I've got things everywhere. You got Contra here, you just got everything. So this is a cool place to be. If you're in Chicago, this is the place you should be right now. But since you're mostly not in Chicago, or I would have invited you, you just get to be jealous. So there's a Galloping Ghost Arcade in Brookfield in Illinois, and yeah. So this game is a little bit weird. It's called Warlords, and I think that the way it's actually built, the coloration in the 4 corners is just like a filter. Why did that not work? Okay. So I think the goal is to kind of defend your base from getting hit by these, fireballs that are coming through. But it's weird. Yeah. Have you ever played this game before?
No, never in my life.
I've never even heard of it before, but I think that each of the little panels, the reason that they're different color is because they're just like color filters. So you see, like when the ball goes in there, it turns from yellow into pink. Like when it goes into each little corner, right? Like it's pink there, right? And I think that that's because it's not display, like changing the display. It's displaying the same thing, but there's a colored filter on the screen.
That's so
Weird.
And finally, for the rest of this evening, we'll actually be doing a little bit of trying to be the very best, the best there ever was. But instead of catching Pokemon, we're going to be racing in Mario. Super Mario Brothers, one of the first 2 games I got on the NES back when I was just 4 years old. And I never beat the game as a kid, but now I can beat it a lot quicker. So we're going to go through, we're going to do 10 speed runs through Super Mario Brothers and a race at the end to see who is better, CPG of 2018, CPG of 2017, or another player in the mix. So in celebration of the fact that tonight or this week there has been a new world record set in the Super Mario Brothers speedrunning game, I am going to participate and join in this wondrous thing that is Mario speedrunning. However, as some of you know, my best previous time was about 7.5 minutes, so my standards here are much lower. I'm not looking for the 4:55 that other people are looking for. In fact, I'm not even going to be using any of the traditional speedrunning tricks that exist in the Super Mario Brothers game. I'm just going to play it pretty quick and see how it goes. So get ready for some football or something. So yeah, let's just start this game out here. I have no idea when you're actually supposed to start timing. I guess that's one of those things that speedrunners look up or something. Oh yeah, so I'm starting this off well, right? Running into pipes, that's really a good approach. And then I walked right past the warp pipe. So this is what happens when I get streamer brain, is that I go ahead and just like wander everywhere. So this is definitely gonna not be a personal best run here. We're gonna play through, we're gonna do what we can, and we're gonna see if we can actually get to the end without dying. That's really the trick for me, is that like I am not very good at Mario. I'm not actually super good at this game, and there are a lot of times when I don't even make it without losing all my lives. But this time, unlike every other time, oh great, I also got fireworks. So good job me, just making sure to do everything right here. But yeah, so my challenge here is not going to be like finishing the game as fast as possible. My biggest challenge is going to be beating the game at all without slowing down to pick up extra items or extra lives or other things like that, which is usually how I play. Like here, like I'm sure there's a much faster way to get through all of this. I know that like those guys I can just jump over because their hitboxes aren't actually where they look like they are, and so on and so forth. Here, of course, is one of the recent tricks that people have done where they actually glitch through that wall, but, you know, at least I got around. I'm also realizing now that I have totally forgotten to run any of my splits, so we're gonna get to the end here and realize that the whole split thing didn't work for me. So, you know, little by little, I gotta learn all the tricks of speedrunning. Yeah, I don't know. I've actually done a little bit of, like, what I called speedrunning before on YouTube. By putting speedrunning in my title, I apparently attracted people who are not very excited about my version of speedrunning, which had almost nothing to do with speed. You know, I was doing things like grabbing mushrooms or extra lives or other things that would actually help me finish the game, because the goal for me was not to beat some kind of record, but instead to beat the best time that I had ever completed, which just isn't very good. But yeah, throughout this game, of course, there's a whole bunch of work that has been done in really digging into the best ways to speedrun this. And so, you know, you're now talking about tiny differences in timings here that people are working on minimizing at this point. And there was a lot of excitement, I think, this past week, because someone was able to save, I think, another, you know, third of a second or 0.6 of a second off, basically, like, I think 1 or 2 frame rules. So the frame rule in Super Mario Brothers is basically when the level starts, the level will only start on a but a fixed number of frames. It will only check to start the level every 21 frames. And so if you save 1 frame in an earlier level, it does not actually cause you to get through the run any faster. So if you save a single frame in World 111, that is not going to get you any faster through, because the game will only check that you're starting a level every 21 frames or 0.35 seconds. So in order to actually improve your time, unless you're improving your time on the last on 8.4, the only way that you can actually improve your time is by reducing at least 21 frames of time in an earlier level. Okay, so at 3.5 minutes we have died. That is our first run down. And this time we're going to actually try at least to do something with the splits. And we'll just start this off again here. Again, my biggest goal here is to get through the game without, as quickly as possible, without picking up any extra items, flowers, mushrooms, extra lives, etc. Yeah, so some tricks that have been done are the oh, that's gonna give me a. I think that gives me a fireball, a firework, whatever they're called. And I don't actually know when they're supposed to call those, but I'm gonna do my splits at the end of the counter. I think that usually people do it like when you enter the castle or something, but I don't know. Or maybe they do it at the beginning of the next level. I should really watch these speedruns more carefully. Funny thing is, like, all these things. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just excuse my terrible speedrunning. It's fine. Like, compared to my personal best, like, my personal best involves stopping for several extra lives and mushrooms, so I've got a lot of room for improvement here still. Like, that was a lot better, if you ignore the fact that I did the whole wrong thing on that little coin part there. Alright, split again. I think I'm actually gonna change it to splitting at the start, because that's the thing that you have, right? Is that you've got the start of the level that people split on. But yeah, so in that particular one, if you hit something in exactly the right pixel, you can warp through that wall and clip into it and save like one whole frame rule. That's actually one of the tricks that was used in the most recent run that actually improved on the world record. Is that it's been something that's been done by TAS before, and I think it was shown to be something that humans could do, maybe, I don't know. It's something TAS has been doing since at least April 2017, but humans doing some of the things that TAS can do, TAS being tool assisted speedrun, is a kind of a crazy idea, right? Like, you've got to hit this thing at this exact pixel and blah, 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 and it's hard. And so there's a lot of things in the game which are like, you know, yeah, like technically this is possible, but I don't actually think humans could do it. And so that's, oh, I forgot to split. God damn it. Alright, well, I'll do... Okay. So the problem with, like, recording bad splits is that, like, if I were to record 2 splits now, then my, like, best split time for one gets really short. So I don't know. I think we'll just go with using split timers as hard, and we'll kind of hope that I die on this one, where if I do, then I can know that, you know, something's good. But yeah, so there's all kinds of little things where, like, if you hit a block, it will push Mario back a certain number of pixels, and by doing so, that particular star block that I just missed, and if you do that, it shoves Mario back, like, 1 pixel, and that allows you to do a trick later in the level where you can clip into the flagpole or other things like that. And at that point, you can, you know, save a whole frame rule because Mario isn't doing these things. That particular pit with the 1 block in the middle was always what killed me when I played this as a kid. And you can see I'm playing the safe here. I'm not jumping over multiple things. I'm not doing other stuff that a real speedrunner would do. We've already established I'm not a real speedrunner. This is really just an attempt to get through and play the game a little bit faster. Like, can I beat Mario with no pickups, no extra lives? Oh! Okay. Like, that's the real question I'm asking, because that's got to be the first step, right? You can't just start off and be like, oh, I missed that one frame rule. Like, at some point, people have to start doing these things slow. I think in that particular case, if you jump that right, you can actually YOLO jump all the way across there. Goddamn bullets. I obviously can't, but in theory, you can. But yeah, so like one of the things that I'm really bad at, for example, is getting through World 8-3, which is the heavy Hammer Brothers level. So can I get through that without picking up any other items to help me through? Because that's usually my approach. Yeah, there we go. You can YOLO jump that. Okay, so that'll save me some time. It won't save me time in dying. Like dying, I'm very good at. I have a lot of practice with that, but one of the most you know, obvious things that I think a lot of people who haven't played this game a lot, or one of the most the easiest things to do, which might impress someone who hasn't played this game a lot. That's 5 minutes. We'll try this again and reset our time here. Okay. Oh, hold on. Sure. Alright, let's reset here. Sorry, I'm trying to work my splits here. Okay, we're gonna start this at this little World 1-1 site. But yeah, so one of the easiest tricks to do that might, you know, impress your friends who don't know much about speedrunning this game is some of the things that I've been able to pull off here, where you can jump right over the piranha plants. So the piranha plant hitboxes are particularly bogus. Oh, I screwed up that split. Okay, it's fine. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We know that split is bogus, but because I decided I was going to do splits here. Like when you start on that black screen, that's going to be the split time, but whatever. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so jumping through piranha plants is one of those things that can, you know, be a good party trick for those who have not actually seen it before, because the piranha plants have particularly small hitboxes. So all of the characters have an area of collision that is, you know, relevant to them, and the piranha plants are particularly, you know, problematic for not actually matching where they show up on screen. Another interesting thing sometimes is that you can occasionally jump through, like when Bowser throws all of his hammers, you can jump through all of the hammers, or some of the hammers, because the game can't actually track as many hitboxes as the hammers that he throws on screen. So like this one, right? Like jumped right through that piranha plant. And that's actually a pretty simple trick. Like just run and jump and put your peak above the piranha plant, and you can make that jump pretty much every time, unless you're really bad at it, like I often am. Yeah, so that's one trick. But these things get crazy. You get things like, you know, particular wall jumps or other things like that come in here and allow people to actually do tricks as well. But the thing that is more interesting from like a computer science programming perspective for me is that like one of the tricks here actually involves, like you see right there where I kind of like clipped against a wall. That actually is like I pushed against a wall, and because I was like trying to run right but pushing against a wall, it actually did something different. Usually Mario, when he runs right until he gets to the middle of the screen, then the screen scrolls with him. But if you are trying to run right while pushing against something, you can actually get the center of the screen to shift slightly. And this is a key trick in what is the 4-2 wrong warp. So basically, because of how warps work in World 4-2, where I take that warp to the level here, there's actually another, like a down pipe you can go down. The third pipe after that you can actually go down, and it takes you into an underground area. Well, when you go into the underground area, or rather, the game can only hold a portal to one other part of the map at the same time. So like no matter what you can't have like a pipe and a pipe going to one place and a vine going to another place on the map at the same time. And so what the bump trick does is that it's now possible to, if you adjust Mario's position slightly to the left of where it would be because you bumped against objects while you're trying to run, then you're able to shift which of those two things there are, because there's just a small enough gap that's about one screen width, and you can change that. And obviously, like, hitting all those little blocks that I'm hitting and climbing up the vine and other stuff like that is the type of maneuver that takes time. Like, that is, oh, good, I hit the jump button. God damn it. So that's a maneuver that takes time, and that's something that, you know, you can't just easily get rid of. So what they figured out is that by changing to using the pipe, you don't actually have to slow down, you don't have to actually do any weird jumps, you don't have to do anything else like that. You can actually just, didn't YOLO jump that one quite well enough. I knew it wasn't going to work out, but, you can actually use the wrong pipe, and as a result, you can cut a fair amount of time off of your run. So that was the initial thing they learned, and for a long time people like tried to bump off of different spots and tried to bump in different places in different ways and so on and so forth. God damn it. Yes. So this is not showing my previous. I don't have a full run, probably. Okay. I'm gonna finish a full run and see if that causes my splits to actually show up. Of course, the first full run that I finish is probably gonna be the end of this little segment of gameplay here. So we'll have to figure out whether my personal bests actually stick around in a future day. But yeah, so now the trick is that instead of like jumping and bumping off of a bunch of different things, there's actually a different trick, which is that you now you clip through a wall, and because of how you clip through a wall, it actually does those, you know, maneuvers in a way that's more appropriate or something like that. I don't know. That gets into where these things are really weird for me. Another thing that can, you know, have an impact, which you know, gets into the, like, you people are all crazy territory, is that apparently there are, like, specific pixels that you can look for where enemies are in the game at a particular part that gives you some information about the internal game state. You know, things like that that are just like, oh my gosh, you people have torn this thing to shreds. To shreds, you say? There we go. That was a nice little jump there. We got our 2 splits working so far. I haven't forgotten yet. Almost forgot that one, but I got it. And I think what I'm actually going to do here is break my own rules a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the mushroom in 4-2. This is going to slow me down very little because it's right inside of the little pit that I jump in. But I think it may help me out. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is that by being tall in the next part, I may actually slow myself down some because I will be hitting my head on the next part when I jump past the 3 little Goombas that are walking at me, but we will see what we do here. Yeah, so that jump I remember being very hard when I was a kid. There we go. And then I think do that. So yeah, because I don't know how to do all the various bump things, I can't go into the 3rd pipe and just climb down this vine that way, like a real speedrunner would. But by being big, I save myself a little bit of time hitting those blocks. We'll see if we can make it through here and get on to World 8-1 a bit quicker. Boom. I'm definitely not on world record pace here, I can tell you that. Ow! Okay, well, that is unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that I could just keep my my tall state through to 8-2 and 8-3, but you know, That's what you get. Look at that. Yeah, so hitting that block is another one of those tricks. That star block there kind of throws your character off by just enough of a set of pixels to cause you to reset a frame or something like that. And I think that these guys here, those little Goombas there maybe, or maybe the bullet bill, tell you something about the game state that you can use to influence whether you need to hit that star on the very first pixel or whether you can get around it and hit it on a later pixel. Alright, we're in trouble here. I'm doing not so hot. Okay. Yeah. So if I was an expert, I would definitely be on, I'm pretty sure I'd be on 8.1 by now, or 8.1, that's where I am. Rather on 8.4 by now. There we go, hit that star block. Yeah, and so some of those values with the star are actually around changing subpixel values in like the game's view of the world. And again, this is getting into things that I don't know much about, but it seems that the game actually has more accuracy about your X position, Y position, enemy X positions and Y positions. Look at that. That's pretty good. Like that. Oh, I split too early, but that's fine. That's certainly not going to make this split too short, given that I died twice in it. Let's just see if we can make it through, though. Let's just slow it down a little bit. See if we can make it through. Ugh. No! Good slowing it down, Chris. You suck. So I think we're gonna go until we get our first successful attempt or 10 total attempts. That's gonna be our stopping point for this. We'll see if we can make it through and get something good. Again, our goal here is primarily to make it through the game without doing any waiting for items or like slowly picking up mushrooms or anything else like this, with the goal of coming up with a score that is better than our previous best, which I think is around 7.5 minutes, and I think was a 0 death run. So I think on that one we were able to make it through without any deaths. But we did, as far as I remember, and it's been a while at this point, stop to pick up things like mushrooms and fire flowers and so on and so forth. I don't know exactly what the approach you're supposed to take is there. I'm sure that there's some tricky, like, jump combination that everyone does. Because that's true of everything in this game. But yeah, so this is one of the things that, you know, the recent world record has actually changed, is that, you know, people are now really close to the task runs through 4.1, the level I'm on now. There's actually people who are doing equally well as the tasks. They are playing as fast as a tool-assisted speedrun has been created that can play. They are no longer losing any frames or anything else like that. And so we are seeing the case that people have memorized and gotten to the point where they can do these things so quick that they're actually, you know, taking what people are able to do with computers and doing it in real life. Now, there's always the possibility, and this comes back down to the components of various aspects of the 4.2 bump skips and the, you know, clips and other things like that, that there are components of the of these elements that have not yet been fully explored. That, you know, people said, oh, we'll never have a sub 5-minute you know, Super Mario Brothers run many years ago because they couldn't figure out how to do things any faster. And now people have figured out, like, oh, look, I can clip through the wall in 1-2, or I can clip through this pipe, or I can change and bump here, or I can do this or that. So there's lots of things to explore, and realistically, like, people just haven't explored all of them yet. It's one of the components of Seth Bling's Mar.io, which is just kind of like, just that was terrible. Just jump over the pipe 3 times. That's good for your speedrunning skills, really. But yeah, so Mario, one of the things that he pointed out was like, you know, look, I found a new frame perfect maneuver you can do, which has this particular ability of getting past that first hurdle in World 1-2 that other people didn't know about. Like, this is not like a speedrunning tactic that other people have used. It's not something people are generally aware of, and we learned it because of experimentation with a neural network, just trying over and over and over all the things. And I think that there's more room for computers to, you know, try a massive number of different variations of combinations, to look for new clips, to look for new, you know, whatever. I don't know that, you know, there's any practical effect we're going to get out of that in my, you know, in the near future, or Mario will be the game that does that. But there's so much that computers can do because they can just like sit and try the same things over and over in a way, or slight variations on them in a way that, you know, humans can't, or at least won't. We'll not say can't, but won't. Okay, just dive right under that. Oh my god, seriously? Bad luck, bullet bills. You are no fun at all. And yeah, so I do wonder if we will see improvements in, you know, speedruns eventually coming in part from not tool-assisted speedruns which are developed by humans, but instead from tool-assisted speedruns that are developed in part by using computers to do lots of experiments, whether it's in neural networks or elsewhere. Okay. Oh shit. Oh, I wasted my stupid mushroom running into a bullet bill in front of me. It's not like I didn't know he was there. On the plus side, because I picked up the extra mushroom, which I really shouldn't have done. Again, I'm breaking my own rules. I did make it through to World 8-3. So we'll see if we can make it through a little bit farther. I have already died once. This is a good level where those piranha plant jumps come in handy. So this is one that I just can't ever figure out the right approach. I cannot get through the final. I do not understand how to get through the final Hammer Brothers without getting hit. There's a whole, like, you could probably like work out the hammer pattern or something, but I always get hit. So that's why I stopped there to grab that mushroom. Unfortunately, due to some kind of bad timing, I did get kind of screwed by the Hammer Brothers pattern on this other level. Ah! I want to hit you. Okay. Oh, good lord. Okay, and that is the end of that run. At 6 minutes, it is over. Okay. I almost just like did my split. Oh, I forgot to start my splits. Okay, well, let's do that. We're late, but I've got a firework that I don't want, but whatever. So now the question is, do I give up more aggressively? Like, is that the approach that I should take? Okay, I'm gonna do 10 runs here, and for every run that I fail, I'm going to pick up 1 extra item, and hopefully at the end of that, I will actually get through the game. Maybe that's the right approach. Ah! So yeah, I don't know where does the future of Super Mario speedrunning lie. The comment from the current world record holder for Super Mario Brothers 1 is that he thinks that there's at least one more frame rule that they can cut out in the run that he did. He had like a kind of shitty level in one of the earlier levels and thinks he could save a full frame rule using some other tactic or whatever. There are some people who have pointed out that I think but at that point you're doing just as well as the best that the computer can do, which means that then you have to go ahead and improve what the computer can do. There's no inputs that humans can do that computers can't, but you have to have some kind of exploration, and there's just a huge problem exploration space to look at. Like, even if you look at this as... Oh, I forgot to split that. Okay. All my splits are shitty. So even if you look at the levels individually, there's still just this massive exploration space of like things that can be attempted. And how do you know? Do you want to try and like clip through a wall in a different spot? Do you want to, do something else? Like, is there a stair clip that you could do to clip through the side of this area here and clip into the warp zone rather than, going up the stairs? Would it save time rather than running all the way to the right and then back to the left? Could you do something better there? I don't know. I am definitely not a speedrunning expert, and as I have demonstrated quite abundantly here, although you could be a speedrunning expert and be a terrible speedrunner. One of the YouTube channels out there that does pretty expert analysis of speedruns is Summoning Salt, which does kind of these analysis of the progression of world record history, although his is more kind of just describing what's been done or what changes there were. But there's also people out there of all kinds who are not speedrunners themselves, but do a ton of different analysis of games and tricks and so on and so forth. And teams of people who do analysis looking for, fake speedruns, and have found dozens of fake, speedruns, some that have lasted for literally decades. People who are in the Guinness Book of World Records have been kicked out because they faked a high score or a record in, the game Dragster, for example. So a lot of people out there, a lot of interest. Speedrunning is just this weird little niche of the video game world that just has lots of weird little things in it. I don't know why my jump button has failed in that exact spot twice. Like, I'm not so stupid that I just decided that running into that guy was a good idea. Like, I did try to press jump. I wonder if there's an input limitation of some kind that I'm not aware of and I'm bumping into, like I'm accidentally pushing down and right or something at the same time, which is causing it to not trigger. I'm also, of course, not playing this on a real NES, which I think would be verboten in most of the speedrunning community. I don't know if Super Mario Brothers 1 has a emulated category or situation there, but generally playing on real hardware is considered the only way to achieve real speedruns by most people. Alright, let's try it again. We got 2 more runs to make it happen. You and the captain make it happen. Hopefully we're actually going to make it through in my self-assigned limit here. No guarantees. Nice. Oh no, but I think 3 gives me fireworks. Curse you! Curse your sudden yet inevitable betrayal. Yep, of course it does. Split, baby, split. But yeah, so with a huge problems place to explore, I don't know how you think about what to try next. By the way, this turtle here and getting over him is one of the things that I was mentioning. I guess it maybe doesn't matter for speedruns because that turtle doesn't actually get there in a speedrun to be underneath there, but that's where Mar/IO or Mar/I/O identified that if you walk through there at exactly the right time, a turtle with a turtle in the middle, you can actually do a 1-frame jump over him. Seth Bling is also another guy who's just crazy about the number of things he does. He's built an Atari 2600 emulator in Minecraft. He is famous for his various hacks of the Super Mario World ROM, you know, doing warp skips to the end by basically hacking the RAM, I guess, of the game, similar to the Super Mario Bros. 3 wrong warp, which sends you down a warp pipe that doesn't actually exist and warps you directly to the end of the game by setting turtles in particular X-pixel positions. Those X-pixel positions overflow into your target location and cause you to basically go straight to the end of the game. So yeah. Alright, I had an early death, but that particular little hop, skip, and a jump for that vine was definitely very good for me. Again, if you're just, you know, tuning into this and you're being here like, why the fuck is this not speedrunning? You should be doing wall clip jump setbacks, and why can't you even figure out how to work your split timer because you're dork? All of those statements are 100% true, especially the one about me being a dork. This is speedrunning the way I want to do it. I realize it is not how most people would play, or even what most people would call speedrunning. It's more like quick running. I guess that's what I could call it. I'm inventing a new category. It's the quick run category. It's not speed, it's just, you know, a little bit faster. Because you gotta start somewhere. And starting with, you know, failing World 1-1 over and over again because you can't get a 1-frame skip that causes you to do the perfect thing, just doesn't seem like a lot of fun to me. Like, at some point, sure, you want to achieve a goal, you do the work necessary in order to achieve that goal, and that work includes resetting over and over and over again on the same small part of the level. But it's actually interesting, the you know, the guy who just got the world record, this is actually, he got it on the first full attempt of him using the new 1-2 skip that he was using. So he had never actually used that trick before, or rather he had used it specifically like 9 times during that particular day, and it was the first full run he had done that used that trick, and he was able to do it and get a new world record with it. So I'm trying to remember, I feel like, I'm wondering if one of those pipes actually goes down and could save me time. Yeah, so I think if you do this right, you actually want to follow along with the bullet bill. You land on it at the very bottom there, and it causes you to clip into the flagpole block, which causes the flagpole to drop immediately, or Mario to walk in faster, or something else like that. So, again, not doing that. Lots of little tricks that people have figured out. Just lots of little tricks. Just ignore that. Jump over you. Got that. Cool. Okay. So now the question is, can I make it through the next set of Hammer Brothers without dying? Or losing my mushroom, rather. Oh no! Oh, I jumped slightly too early. Well, that's a kick in the something or other. Yeah, so I don't know what the speedrun way is to go through that. Like, do you just learn where the Hammer Brothers are gonna be, and you like jump to the right platform. Like, is there some indication you have about which way the Hammer Brothers are gonna jump? I don't know. Oh, what? 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 Oh, Turtle, you let me down. I hate Hammer Brothers. They're just the worst. The worst fucking enemies in the entire goddamn game. I mean, I guess there aren't that many enemies in the game, but... Alright, well, 6.5 minutes in, and we are dead again. Here we go, last run of the night. This is gonna be the run. I say that, and it's always not the run, but this time, for sure, it's gonna be the run. And... we're gonna get good splits, and we're gonna finish it, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be glorious, magnificent, lovely. God damn it. 3 fireworks. Good start. Okay, that is, I think, like 4 seconds off my personal best. Well, you know, it's fine. Just, like, you gotta start somewhere. Gotta start somewhere. Oh. Plus, I have I have negative desire to be a real speedrunner. Like, speedrunning is an interesting hobby. More power to the people who do it and find it fun. I cannot imagine the depths of like investing the amount of time that people who actually invest in speedrunning do. Just never, never, never would that be something that I am interested in. Got my split there. This level I'm pretty good at. I think I only died in this one once, so you know, there's that. Watch me hit one of these piranha plants and die. I did at one point, like when I was playing this off stream, I hit that that block over the pit, and I hit it and it killed me. So you know, it takes all kinds of deaths. It takes all kinds of deaths. Right. There's my split. 155. That's my jam. That. Yeah. Okay, not a grapevine. Heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer will you be Mario. Honey, honey, yeah, heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer will you be my Mario. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just split that wherever I feel like it. Oh, god damn it. Shit. It's fine. Use my invincibility frames while I got them. See, that's one where I should have been able to make that piranha jump, but I just got nervous because I'm small now. See, like when you're small all the time, you don't get nervous when you're small, but when you get big, all of a sudden you're like, oh no, now I'm small, I'm scared. Can't be scared in speedrunning. It's just like baseball. There's no crying in baseball, there's no fear in speedrunning. Just go ahead and take these guys out. Take them out the slow way. Do this hop, and again, the 1 block hop. Always killed me when I was a kid, that 1 block hop. Or this, that too. I just don't have the patience, never had the patience. Ah, god damn it, another 6 fireworks. Well, at least I know which things to cut out if I ever get, you know, really desire to beat this particular speedrun. And that will be, well, first of all, the mushroom. But more importantly than the mushroom, the fireworks have gotta go. They're just such a silly mistake. Alright, let's get out of here. Oh, fuck! I did it again! That's the stupid jump. Squeeze right through there. Oh, God! Seriously? You gonna do me like that? Ugh. So technically above that spring there is an extra life, which means that once you're on World 8-2, assuming that you don't ever do something really stupid like I just did and like spring yourself directly to death, you can be on this level for a long time. And that can be really useful, I'm sure, if you are willing to take advantage of it. Fun fact, the way that I've always done that particular jump is like that, rather than the YOLO jump. Oh no! Okay. It's fine. Alright. I almost went and had another set of fireworks there, but I was smart enough to avoid it this time. Early split, it's fine. Okay. Please fall down 1 and not 2. Okay. I don't know if he was actually gonna fall down 2, but whatever. Okay. Alright. Watch me do something real stupid, like walk right off the first platform in this final level. So we did not quite make it a deathless run. Probably the slowest part of the whole level there for me. There's only 2 parts I'm really worried about now. Which means that some other part that I'm not worried about will kill me. One is the Hammer Brother after the underwater level, and the other is the Bowser. I don't know if there's a trick to Bowser, but he just occasionally, like, his hammers and fire pattern just suck, and he gets me. So, just gonna walk along the bottom here, take it nice and slow. I know that we're pushing up on my, you know, previous what I thought was my best time, but alright. Have to dig that out of the logs and find out what it was. Okay. Fine. Fine. And done! Boom! 7:35, baby. It was the run. See? What did I tell you? It's perfect. We did it. We beat Super Mario Brothers in 7.5 minutes. I mean, of course, it took us 45 minutes to do so, but that is it. So, that's Super Mario Brothers the speedy-ish way. And thank you all for watching. Obviously, more to improve. Getting rid of the fireworks, but more importantly, getting rid of the deaths, removing some of the mushrooms, and so on and so on. Figuring out what the hell the pattern is with the Hammer Brothers would be a great way to win that, but, you know, little by little, maybe we can improve this. Thanks for all for watching. Bye-bye. Tonight we're going to be doing a race between 3 expert Super Mario Brothers players, so sit back, relax, and grab that popcorn to see who wins the race. Player 1 will be in the upper left corner, player 2 in the upper right, and player 3 in the lower left corner. Starting off the game, of course, we'll be starting off in World 1-1. 1-1 is an overworld level, and we'll start off here. We can see already player 2 is taking a very different tactic, is picking up a mushroom. In the upper left, we can see player 1 actually missed that first pipe jump, while player 3 was able to make it all the way in. And so player 3 also was able to get the flag skip. You'll see that flag is still hanging up there at the top of player 3's screen, while player player 2 actually chose to go through the entire level rather than using the underworld level so that they could pick up both the fire flower and the extra life. Unfortunately, player 1 did get fireworks. Fireworks are going to slow you down here. You don't want to end those levels on a 3, but what can you do? And so here we have player 1, unfortunately not making it over that jump and falling into a pit, while player 3 is able to just run through all these. We can see player 1 again was slower on the uptake of these enemies and got stuck in these Goombas land here. Player 3 doing the pipe skip to get into the warp zone. You'll see actually player 3 had to run further into the warp zone in order to trigger that warp area. Player 1 is of course still ahead of player 2, but player 2 does have that fireball, which may prove interesting in the long run. We are seeing player 3 grab some YOLO coins there, jumping off the back of the green pipe, while player 1 and player 2 used a more traditional way of getting into the warp zone to make their way to World 4-1. Player 3 is pulling ahead farther at this point. In fact, we saw player 1 was not able to make it on the upper side of that particular thing, and is unfortunately going to fall behind, and again they are there. So we are just finishing up 4-1 for player 1, halfway through 4-1 for player 2. Player 3, you just saw, did that wall skip and is now doing the perfect vine skip. So was able to skip the blocks of the vine and drop down the pipe, landing there. Player 1 did decide to pick up this mushroom here, which is going to help him out in the in 8-1 probably, or 8-1, 8-2, 8-3. Unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble with making this blocks appear here to get the vine. This is going to give player 2 a little bit of a chance to catch up. As we can see, player 3 is way ahead at this point, already halfway through 8-1, while player 1 is still stuck on World 4-2. Did get that star there and is moving on. Player 2 did save a little bit of time on the vine, so we're seeing a little bit of catch up here. And again, player 1 skipped right past that 8 pipe and had to go back for it. Player 3 so far ahead, it doesn't seem like there's any chance that they'll be caught unless they make a huge mistake making it through here. And again, another flag there. As you can see, player 1 did unfortunately take a hit and lose that mushroom, so is now playing a little bit more dangerously here in World 8-1, while player 2 does still have that fire flower and has been able to keep it so far. Hitting that star block, of course, we have no idea what the judges say on that particular sub-pixel location, but does not really matter because it's clear that this is not a case where we're going for individual frame skips at this point, just trying to make this game through this game at all. Really what seems going on. 8-1 here, you're gonna player 1 there, you see, did bounce off the bullet bill and manage another flag skip. Waited a little bit on the stairs in order to make sure they landed on that bullet bill in order to skip into that block. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that player 1 did end up with another 6 at the end. It's going to trigger more fireworks, while player 3 runs through this Hammer Brothers level on 8-3 like nobody's business. So this is going to be, coming down pretty soon to just a fight between player 1 and player 2. Player 2 has 4 lives, and unfortunately, player 1 just took a death there, running into the Koopa. Player 2 did take a hit and lose the fire flower. And took a hit from the same Koopa. So now we're gonna see, oh no, player 1 bouncing off the spring, as player 3 does a number of skips here, wanders right through that piranha plant. Player 1 is down to 1 life, and is just a little bit behind player 2 for almost the first time this run. And so we'll have to see how they go through here. Player 2 able to pick up that mushroom, player 1 playing it a bit safe, while player 3 is working his way through the underwater level of 8-4, that final castle here. Unless something gets really screwed up here, it's looking like player 2 is pulling ahead and the 8-1 is falling behind, ducking beneath these bullet bills here and hoping to make this jump without a problem, as 8-3 makes his way under Bowser and completes the game. So that is Cosmic CD's world record 455 pace for Super Mario Brothers. Just a recent world record that was created just this last week using that 1-2 pipe clip in order to make it further ahead. And so as player 2 makes their way onto World 8-3, We're going to have to see how this goes here. Was able to make it over that jump and had a really weird little hop there off of the hammer brother. Was able to avoid damage. Unfortunately, did take a hit off of that hammer, but is still able to pick up another mushroom. So as you can see, both of these players here are playing a little bit more safe, picking up mushrooms. You know, one of the more difficult parts of this run for a novice player is making it through those hammer brothers at the very end. So we'll see how player 1 makes it through here. Player 2 having a lot of trouble here with the hammer brothers, but is able to pick up the fire flower. But player 1 now pulling ahead because of that slowdown, picking up the fire flower. So there's 2 secrets in this level. One is the second or third brick from the right on the first hammer brother set, and then the second or third brick from the left on the second hammer brother set. Was able to pick that up, but unfortunately has fallen behind as a result of having to wait slowly there and make their way through. So we've got a small Mario beginning 8-4 and with 1 life, and a tall Mario beginning 8-4 with 3 lives, with fire flowers. So we'll just have to see if player 1 can make it through without taking any damage here. You know, playing a little bit safe, no YOLO jumps going on for either of these 2 players who are just trying to make it through the level. Jumping over the Koopa. Of course, no wall jump or clip here. With that four high blocks, you can actually, if you are going in exactly the right place, you've got a 1 pixel location and a 1 frame jump to make it through there. Of course, an expert player would have actually gone down that first pipe on the left side of the fireballs, go right far enough to trigger the warp and then go down the pipe. But they're now both in the underwater level and making their way here through 8-4. Those fire flowers coming in handy for the player number 2 here, and working very hard to catch up. Unfortunately, got himself stuck behind the bloopers, and attempting to maintain that fire flower is going to cost him. So we'll just have to see if player 1 can make it past that hammer brother, and does, and now goes on to Bowser and is able to make it under Bowser as well. That is the CPG 2018 run. On the right, you have the CPG 2017 run. Both finished in about 7 minutes and 35 seconds, while Cosmic CD, of course, was able to finish in a much shorter and faster time of just 4 minutes 55 seconds .91. So congratulations to Comic CD on their Cosmic D12. Gosh, I can't say any names. Cosmic D12 on their record-breaking run, and to CPG 2018 for beating CPG 2017 by just a couple seconds. Thanks for watching. And that is it. That is going to be our stream / video / whatever for the evening. I hope you've enjoyed this mix of old arcade machines, speed runs, you know, talking about various different aspects of it, and enjoyed just a little bit of looking back at some things that we've done here. So I am the Chris who plays games, playing retro games every Monday and Friday at 9:15. Just a reminder for those of you playing the trivia game tonight, this is your chance. Don't forget to submit your answers to the trivia form linked in the description below. Those 3 questions were, what was the year of CPG's first car? What is my new top score on the Work Galaga machine? And what is my top score in Donkey Kong Jr. tonight? If you can submit those 3 answers, you have the chance of winning a fabulous prize. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure I'll come up with something, or you can come up with something and just tell me what the prize should be, and then I won't give it to you because you'll want something ridiculously expensive like a new Ferrari, and I won't be able to buy a new Ferrari, but, you know, that's just the way it goes. Thank you all for watching. I hope it's been a lovely time for you, as lovely as a time as it has been for me bringing this together for you, and I hope to see you on Friday, where we'll be playing something new. It's been lovely to have all of you. Have a lovely night. Goodbye.